Our next performer comes from Martha's Vineyard, which is an island off the coast of Massachusetts, if we didn't know. It's also the home of Gammon and Benjamin Boatyard, which keeps the faith about wooden boats in a notoriously good fashion. Marcus fished, and he spent time on fishing boats and other boats, and for 25 years he was a fish journalist. So he's got the journalism from both ends. You know, the paper gets wrapped in fish, but before that somebody puts the fish into the paper. So Mark's going to entertain us here. Thanks, Mark.
Hey, you mentioned Gannon and Benjamin. Actually, I live a block away from Gannon and Benjamin. They build boats. They build wooden boats. I come from an amazing place, Martha's Vineyard, an island off the coast of Massachusetts that has a lot of similarities to coastal communities around the country, and especially here. It's a little crazy, isn't it, that I would ride a ferry boat, take a bus, get on an airplane, get on 2 airplanes, and come here to hang out with you folks. When really, it's more about you and your community than it is about me. Because what I'm going to share with you is going to remind you of here. If I do my job right, if I fulfill my mission of visiting you, we're all going to feel like a family. I want to start by telling a story about a fishing boat called the Rowan. If you go to Mystic Seaport you all know is this wonderful National Maritime Museum. You'll see the ship, the fishing boat Rowan. She's a fishing boat. She was built in 1947 for a man on Martha's Vineyard near named Roy Campbell. And Roy Campbell lived down the street where I live right now, not far from Gannon and Benjamin. And he was a celebrated fisherman, and he had the Eastern Rig sailboat, fishing boat, Eastern Rig fishing boat, Rowan built, the best that the boatyard could build in Maine. And he fished her. And he fished her in the waters of Martha's Vineyard and George's Bank. And when he gave up fishing to shift to other things, somebody else took over the boat. And that fishing boat is at Mystic Seaport because she's a piece of the history of the New England fishermen, a piece of the history of the fishing industry, because they don't build Eastern Rig boats anymore. And if you were to join with me and we were to walk the docks of Mystic Seaport and we were to see Rowan, she'd be sitting there looking beautiful because they spent over $1 million restoring her, giving her the attention she needed, because the story, the history of fishing is tied up in that boat. But you and I would walk through that boat and we'd say, but it's a boat. And Roy is not here. And Roy is gone. And you go and you smell the timbers in the boat and it smells of wood and you don't smell fish because the boat does not fish anymore. But the boat is a piece of our history. When she was restored and put back in the water, I work in the newspaper business in addition, covering the fishermen. I found a story that was written about Roy Campbell, the man I knew, and the Rowan. About the Rowan going through a hurricane in 1953. Now, there is not a fisherman alive who would ever leave the dock to take his crew to go out pursue fish if he knew that there was a hurricane coming. But this was in 1953, before the Weather Channel, before the iPhone, before all of the measures that we have today to tell us about the impending weather. He took this 60-foot boat out with his experienced vineyard crew, and they ran into a hurricane. And they survived. For we know many stories of fishing boats that did not survive. So what makes this story so significant when you think of fishermen who have done this and survived? The part that is amazing was when she was out there, that boat, Rowan, almost turned turtle, almost flipped over. And the evidence that she had almost flipped over became not only the experience of the crew, but of the whole southeastern Massachusetts community. For when the Rowan sailed into New Bedford Harbor, all of her fishnet was atop of her mast. So I share with you a poem that I wrote to commemorate Roy. She sailed above the rolling swell, quickening as she ran. Late at night, the cook held the wheel. The hurricane came from hell. I know not how many made the run, for the waves covered our sky. And now, good friends, toast a glass to the night we and Rowan survived. The storm came out of the south, and then it hovered over our fragile end. We were 120 miles offshore, locked in the wicked wind. I don't know how the bulkhead held, as there was hammering and pounding on the side. Captain Roy made the rightful cry at us, "Get your gear ready, but you know we'll be all right." Our hull almost turned turtle, and the net wrapped round the masthead hard. The lights flickered, went out, and then came on. Our eyes were open wide. It took a prayer from each of us, and then the wind did die. The waves kept tossing us up and down. God bless, we were all alive. As I sit with my fingers around my cold glass, thinking about that stormy night, I treasure this quiet, thirsty moment, remembering that mountain wave rise. Say a good cheer to our boys and boats who were tossed from side to side. We were lucky when we arrived in port with our fishnet way up high. The next song I want to sing for you is about another fishing boat. This boat is called Sarah. And she is a composite of many fishing boats that were once in the waters of Martha's Vineyard. There may be one or two left, two or three maybe. There was a time when fishing boats sailed the waters from Martha's Vineyard that were owned by families, multiple generations. They were amazing vessels. We all celebrate the farmers across the country, the farmer who has a family, the family farmer who has tilled the land for years and years from one generation to the next. Yet we as fishermen, we also celebrate the family fishermen, multiple generations. I could even say today that they are still around. There are family fishermen who fish and multiple generations. I think of my son in California who fishes a boat, 27 feet. He fishes only for sustainable fish. And there was a time when fishermen left the ports and they fished the local waters of Martha's Vineyard. And that's important because today, I go into a fish market and I can't buy local fish. There have been so many changes. I live on an island and I can't buy local fish because those fishermen don't fish from our island anymore because they can't. I don't want to go into the politics of it, but I want to say to you that this song is dedicated to all fishermen. Yes, there are great fishing boats out there, 70, 80, 90 feet long. Some of them can flash freeze the fish and prepare it. Some of them can fish for months at a time. And yes, there's also the skiff that leaves the dock and goes out just for a little handful of fish. And, you would certainly say that the great big fishing boat is efficient. Well, there is this sweet little spot in the middle, somewhere in the middle, which I think we all will agree to, where there is the fisherman who fishes for his family, who fishes and his fish is eaten locally. That's so special. So this song, Sarah, celebrates that. And you're going to help me sing it. Is that okay? Say yes. I want you all to say, friends by our side. Oh, that's wonderful. It's going to be easy for you to know what's coming big. I'm going to sing, hauling in our nets, our friends by our side. Let's do it again. Now, I know we're on radio, so you got to be good. Sarah rose through the waves, sailing out to the sea, carrying a net full of our hopes and the dreams of a family. She is a fishing boat, she's our home away from home. Rising, rolling, and rocking, Sarah, carry us on. Carry us on. Through the Quicksole Passage, we left the town far away, leaving the town in the bright lights and the sounds of the day. Leaving breakfast on the table, leaving our neighbors and daughters behind. We're heading to the east. Sarah, carry us on. Carry us on. The greatest measure of what we do is not the fish in the hole. Biggest payback isn't when the fish are sold. We got memories of Grandpa, a Highliner back in his day. We're carrying his story. Sarah, carry us on. Carry us on. riding on the ocean, turning with the tide, hauling in our nets, our friends by our side. There's your part. By our side. The diesel engine sings below the deck, the wake swirls all behind. Might tell you something about who we are and the sparkle in our eye. Doesn't hold a coin to the women we left at the dock. The garden in the backyard and the clothes hanging from the line. Riding on the ocean, turning with the tide. Hauling in that net. Here's your part. There you go. We're out on Georges, watching the whales swim by. Plenty of room for all of us when the fish finally arrive. I don't know what you're talking about. This small boat belongs out here. We're doing all right. Sarah, carry us on. Carry us on. The pilot house window is frosty. The radar spins round and round. Coffee's burnt and it's too hot. The autopilot is down. The net is coming back loaded. There are seagulls drifting nearby. We're done our fishing. Sarah, carry us home. Carry us home. Riding on the ocean, turning with the tide. Riding on the ocean, turning with the tide. Hauling in that net. Here's your part. Oh, that's so good. All right, one more verse. And the most important verse. The wishes that we carry makes being out here so great. That our loved ones are cared for and their dreams they are met. We all want good weather. We want a lot of fish out here. We're doing to the west. Sarah, carry us home. Carry us home. Last time, here's your chance to make it on the radio. Riding on the ocean, turning with the tide. hauling in that net. Our hauling in that net. Our friends